Hello, today's Bible study comes from Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 9, and reads as follows. Jesus entered into Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All of the people saw this and began to mutter, he has gone to be the guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount. Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house because this man too is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. Amen. Now, this story about Zacchaeus is a good story because Jesus was still on his way to Jerusalem. And there was a man named Zacchaeus, and he was a chief tax collector. Now, this is not a good man to most people because there are tax collectors who get their share, and then there's a chief tax collector who get their share plus. And he was wealthy, and he was wealthy from taking for those less fortunate. And he wanted to see Jesus. He had heard about him, and he wanted to see who Jesus was. But because he was short, he was not a tall man in stature, he could not see over the crowd. He would go unnoticed in the average height of the crowd. So he ran ahead and he climbed up a sycamore fig tree so he could see Jesus. And since Jesus was coming that way, it was easier for him to see him, and he climbed that tree. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. Now, this had to be a shocker even to Zacchaeus because Jesus noticed him in the tree and he told him to come down because he was going to stay at his house. And he came down once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and they began to mutter, uh-oh, Jesus being good to somebody else, and we begin to mutter, sound normal? He has gone to be the guest of a sinner. Well, if he would have went to your house, my house, and anybody else's house, he would have went to be the guest of a sinner. So although he was a sinner more to those people because of his position, he was just a sinner like everybody else. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, now check out Zacchaeus. Lord, look, here and now I give half my possessions to the poor. So Zacchaeus gave to the poor without being told to give to the poor. He also said, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount. Not only will he pay back the fact that he might have cheated somebody out of something, but he was going to pay them 4 times more. He must have recognized who Jesus was. He must have felt something in his spirit moving, telling him what he needed to do. So Jesus said to him, today salvation has come into this house. That salvation was Jesus. Because this man too is a son of Abraham. Zacchaeus was under the same inheritance as everybody else was. He was a son of Abraham. And then he said, for the Son of Man came to seek. Jesus didn't just come here. He came seeking us, looking for us, and to save the lost. Zacchaeus was lost, and now he is found. Zacchaeus put an effort to look for Jesus, to see Jesus. And we need to put out an effort and extra effort like Zacchaeus did to see the Lord, to find the Lord, and to do what the Lord would have us do. This little man told you he was hungry to see Jesus, so he climbed a tree so he could see him, so he could see over the crowd and look upon his Lord, and he was rewarded. And when we seek Jesus and see him, we are rewarded also. Amen.